Hello there, this is Dana Arcuri, author, speaker, and wellness advocate. Today's topic is a sensitive one, and the subject is religion gone bad. So most people probably have already seen it on the news or heard about it one way or the other on social media, that there were over 300 priests in the Pennsylvania area that were exposed and that basically got caught after 70 years. It finally caught up with them. You know, there's that saying, sin will find you. Well, it eventually did find them. So what happened was there were over 300 priests in the Pennsylvania area who were under investigation for many, many years. This is really, in a way, not even new news. It's so much that we've been hearing through probably the past 5 years. There's a lot of different talk. There's been shows on TV about it. Last year, when I watched a show to do with these predator priests, it did give the actual states and countries, because this isn't just the USA, it's worldwide, it's all over. And the reason why is because these predator priests are church hopping. So they have one offense or a couple offenses or a string of sexual assaults happening in one church, and boom, they're shipped out to the next church. So off they go to another country, and they repeat it, and they're just repeated predators who are sexually, emotionally, and physically abusing innocent people, especially children, and it is just quite horrific. So what happened was it definitely became televised, and it's all over social media. It wasn't new to me because, like I said, last year I watched the TV show and I discovered that Pennsylvania was a state. And so I was well aware of it. Now, while I'm talking about this incident in Pennsylvania, keep in mind there's many, many other states that are under investigation and different countries. It's not just one city or one state or one country where there's predator priests. Understand that in the Catholic Church, and it sounds like it's the Roman Catholic Church, but it could be more than one, that there's just countless offenses that have happened. Some articles said that it goes back even thousands of years, that this has been going on for thousands of years, but they only have so much evidence. You know, there's only so much evidence. And so some of the evidence is stating 70 years. You know, they have to go by evidence. And unfortunately, what happened was some of the priests had forced their victims to be quiet, don't say anything. You know, they forced a lot of the people who they assaulted and hurt to not talk about it, to not expose it. But as I said, you know, when people sin, sin will find you out. You will eventually get caught, and they get caught red-handed. And so I'm going to read from the New York Times. Going to read through the New York Times what the article says, quote unquote. Bishops and other leaders of the Roman Catholic Church in Pennsylvania covered up child sexual abuse by more than 300 priests over a period of 70 years, persuading victims to not report the abuse and law enforcement not to investigate it. I bet those priests were good friends with law enforcement. And this is, of course, this information is according to a searing report issued by a grand jury last Tuesday, and it goes onward. Here we go. It catalogs horrific instances of abuse. Here we go. A priest who raped a young girl in the hospital after she had her tonsils out. A victim tied up and whipped with leather straps by a priest. And another priest who was allowed to stay in ministry after impregnating a young girl and arranging for her to have an abortion. Wow. So I'm really appalled at this. It is absolutely horrific. There is a Me Too movement that is now becoming the Church Too movement. And so know today that this situation going on with the predator priest is not only exempt to them, that this is something going on in the Amish community and the Christian community. You know, there are many people who are finally coming out of the darkness, who are finally breaking the silence and are saying, no more, I've had enough. And they're basically calling out the predators who are sexually assaulting them in these religious organizations. I personally believe that there's one argument that just needs to be discussed because I have a lot to say about it. So the one argument, and I've seen it over and over on my Facebook page, over and over, you know, these people who just kind of want to put it out there. So this person says to me, well, if the Catholic Church would just let these priests get married, we wouldn't have this problem. And so I wanted to clarify that, number one, the priests, it's true, they took a vow for celibacy, it's true, and that they're not meant to get married in this Catholic religion. You know, whether we agree or disagree, that's not even the point. The point to do with the predator priests and all of these sexual assaults, in total, even though they had 300 people where it was absolutely definite, they had all of the evidence that they needed with 300 people. Understand that they said there are over 1,000 people who they're not putting the names out there. They're not discussing all the details because either A, there's people who decided to not speak out. There are some priests who forced others to keep quiet and to not discuss it. There are some people, they're fearing for their lives. They're just fearing for their lives. Okay, so understand that, yes, there's 300, okay, 300 priests who got caught, but there's thousands and thousands of others who are still hiding and lurking in the dark, who are predators, who are behind closed church doors doing things they shouldn't be doing that have a sexual nature. So the one thing in regards to marriage is this. The priests, in my opinion, the ones who are perpetrators, the ones who are assaulting young girls and boys, they typically don't want adult females. Okay, so let's keep it clear. This is my opinion. They don't want adult females, and they technically really don't even want to get married. No, they prefer little boys, especially little boys, you know, because we've seen over and over and over this going on. A lot of choir boys, a lot of different stories coming out. And so, you know, when people give that argument, well, if the church would just let them get married. And so what I'm saying is no, it's not even about marriage at this point, because even if they were allowed to get married to females and to, you know, have a wife, they don't want wives. They want little boys, okay? Maybe they even just want little kids, just kids in general. You know, they're perverts, all right? Let's call it out for what it's worth. You know, anyone who would prey on an innocent child in a religious organization such as the Catholic Church, that is downright evil. And then we also need to make it real clear that when we talk about sexual assaults, it's not about sex. A lot of people don't understand that. They think that when there's a sexual assault, oh, this person just has all these sexual desires and they just can't help themselves. No, please, people, come on now. You've got some common sense. Use it. Because no, they're not after, you know, oh, I have this strong libido. No. It's more like, I like little boys. You know, that's what it comes down to. These predator priests, it's not that they have this yearning desire to have sex with an adult female. It's that they really do have this evil within them in which they prey on and use their profession. So they're using their profession as a priest to prey on innocent people who trust them. And think about the countless families, the countless parents who willfully gave over their kids to the church, thinking that they were in choir practice, or that they were going to confession, or they were helping out, or that the priest was helping them. No, that's not what was happening. So what was happening is the priests were taking advantage of innocent lives, and they were using sex only as a crime act. So it's an act of crime. It's not really to do with libidos. It's to do with someone who is sexually assaulting someone. This is someone who has anger management problems. This is someone who has oftentimes rage within them. This is someone who has some serious challenges, and it is not like just a mental illness. No, it is outright crime. Okay, there's a big difference between just having sex and a crime. When someone sexually assaults a child or forces themselves on a little girl who's in the hospital getting a tonsillectomy, that is pretty pathetic that they have to stoop so low. But yet, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the priest who was interviewed on TV is insisting, oh no, there was no cover-up. Well, so help you God, he will strike him down, because we already know that that's just a bunch of hogwash. You know, like the article said from New York Times, this goes back many, 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 many years. And there's so many more years it goes back. I mean, we're talking thousands, but they don't have evidence. You know, you cannot prosecute someone when you don't have evidence. So we have to understand that there's so many things going on, and plenty of churches and priests, who knows who else is involved, who are getting away with it, and finally they're being exposed. And so we could at least take heart that sin will find them, and understand that if you yourself were ever emotionally, physically, spiritually, or sexually violated in a religious organization, understand that God is the ultimate judge. People reap what they sow. God is the final judge. You know, these people will pay for what they've done. And we could just take heart and take comfort that God is the judge. Thank goodness that it's not us. Thank goodness it's not us that's the judge. Let God be the judge. And I'm going to end on a word. A word. What does God say about religious leaders? Let's take it to the Bible. So this is in Malachi 2, 1 through 2. And now, this word is for you, O religious leaders. If you do not listen, and if you do not set your heart to honor my name, says the Lord of all, then I will send the curse on you. I will destroy the good things you have been given. Yes, I have cursed them already because you have not set your heart to honor me. And so today I want to end also with that church is supposed to be a sacred place. It's supposed to be a trustworthy place. It's supposed to be a safe haven. The priests are supposed to be upright citizens and men that we could trust, men that are godly. And it is just very despicable today that we are discovering that there are priests and churches that have fallen flat, and they're basically in complete sin, and all we can do is pray. We could just pray for them, pray for the victims, pray for the people who are now surviving this horrific, traumatic event, pray that they could be healed, and then again, use wisdom. If you're in a religious organization and you have something, you know, whether it's that soft voice speaking to you or it's your gut intuition saying, get out, something's not right, take heed. Listen to that soft voice within you or your gut intuition that is telling you something's not right. Just because someone calls themselves a Christian or a Catholic or whatever denomination, it doesn't matter, because it's actions that speak louder than words. If you want to share your own thoughts on what's going on with predator priests and the Catholics or any other Christians that may have fallen short and have been caught in some serious crimes and sexual activity assaulting innocent people, feel free to share, subscribe, like, and you could look for me at danaarcuri.com for wellness tips and inspiration. God bless.